Ben McKee, West Rucker, Go Vols 247 here inside of Thompson Bowling Arena, where Tennessee just dismantled South Carolina for a second time this season, 85-45 in West. I thought it was pretty easy to tell why, or one of the reasons. They played well on both ends of the floor, but the main takeaway, in my opinion, is Josiah Jordan-James' return.
There's no question, Ben. There's two things for me. One is that Josiah Jordan-James returned, and offenses tend to work better when you can space the floor a little bit. Josiah Jordan-James playing stretch four, especially when he's in there in that spot, really opens up the offense for Tennessee, really changes things. I also think that some teams are just bad matchups for others. I think Kentucky's not a great matchup for Tennessee for certain reasons inside, the way that they can keep Tennessee off the boards. And I think South Carolina's lack of physicality, they can go play Alabama, straight up and go to overtime and almost win that game. But Tennessee's not a good matchup for South Carolina. Tennessee's physicality, especially when the refs are going to let them play, it's not something South Carolina is equipped to handle.
No, South Carolina also is not a good basketball team, which has contributed to Tennessee winning by 40 in Columbia and in Knoxville. Played really well on both ends of the floor. When they play well, that offensively, though, people are going to talk about the offense first and foremost before the defense. 5 Vols in double figures. You had Josiah Jordan-James with 18. Jemiah had 14. Zakai Ziegler had 13. And Urosh Plavsic and Olivier Cumwall had 10.
Yeah, and I think that there's a couple things. One, Josiah Jordan-James, his return is huge. And whenever Julian Phillips gets back, if he does, that will be huge for Tennessee as well. The other thing is Zakai Ziegler. When he plays under control, right? He's always going to be a little bit reckless because that's just kind of his style. But today, I think 11 assists, 2 turnovers. When he takes care of the ball, when he's making shots, when he's making good decisions, and he stays out of foul trouble, Tennessee, completely different basketball team. It's never down to just one guy. But when Zakai Ziegler plays well, Tennessee almost always wins. When he doesn't, Tennessee has a hard time.
Yeah, and today was a get-right game for Tennessee because South Carolina is a bad basketball team like we discussed, and they handled business. That is that, in my opinion. I think now we go ahead and turn our attention to the big week upcoming as of tonight after Tennessee wins, after Auburn loses at Kentucky. Tennessee now in sole possession of 4th place in the SEC tournament, or in the SEC standings, which is important because that means they'll get the double bye as of right now for the SEC tournament. But got a whole lot of basketball left to be played because Arkansas comes in to Thompson Bowling Tuesday night at 9 o'clock, and then you go back to Auburn. Shaky basketball team at times, but Auburn's going to want to get Tennessee back with how that game played out here in Knoxville.
Sure, and there could be a top 4 spot on the line in that game, depending on how things go in the next week, right? Kentucky plays Vandy, which it's Vandy and Rupp. Vandy's a well-coached team, but you expect Kentucky to win that game. Don't think Kentucky's going 0-2 next week. So Tennessee, most likely 4th is the best it's going to get. Tennessee beats Arkansas, and then Auburn loses to Alabama the next day. Tennessee's got a top 4 clenched up. But neither of those things is a given, and it could come down to that final day, and that's going to make it interesting because Tennessee's got a lot to play for right now, and the tournament, the NCAA tournament, is what matters more than anything. But if you can play well along the way, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and SEC standings aside, obviously you'd like to play well these final 2 games with how Tennessee has been scuffling. Beating South Carolina the way Tennessee did tonight is cool and whatnot. You handled business, but you had more to lose than you had to gain. But you can certainly gain a lot in terms of confidence if you can knock off Arkansas and Auburn. But for now, Tennessee takes care of business inside of Thompson Bowling Arena, beating South Carolina 85-45. He's Wes Rucker. I'm Ben McKee of GoVols247.com.